Welcome, everybody, to this interview with Mocha Bezirgan. I'm very, very excited. Um, there's a lot we're going to cover, but most importantly, I really think that this guy is the most underrated independent journalist in Canada. He follows the Khalistani extremism happening in the streets. He gets some of the best footage that even India steals his footage, Indian media companies. But also, we're going to talk about what you broke today, which is an interesting story about Jagmeet Singh's father, who is apparently an alcoholic, who apparently is also a psychiatrist, who apparently got all these, violations or things on his psychiatry record, which got removed by an Ontario regulatory body, the CPSO. But Mocha, how are you this evening? First of all.
Thank you for having me, Greg. I'm excellent. I'm doing fine. The last time we did an interview, I was asking you questions, and now the roles have changed. I am here ready to receive your questions. It's been a good day. Thank you for the kind introduction. Indeed, Indian media outlets have been stealing my footage, but don't worry about it. Um, I know how to make them pay.
That's good. That's good. That's probably a story for another time. But yeah, us independents got to stick together. This mean Ottawa establishment bubble has many tentacles, and sometimes it might be connected to the World Sikh Organization, which is something we'll get to hopefully in this chat. But I want to ask, you posted this really intensive kind of expose on Jagmeet Singh's father. You posted it only a few hours ago. I saw that it already had over 1,000 retweets. What's the response been? Tell us a bit about this story and why more Canadians should know about it.
The response so far has been very positive. People are saying that, well, this is what investigative journalism is supposed to be. This is what it looks like. And I think people are liking it because they don't see it. They don't see mainstream media doing anything like this, where they get deep into information, where they interview people, unique stories, raising concerns, raising questions. Well, the story basically, as you can see from the title, is about Jagmeet Singh's father and the medical board of a medical regulatory board in Ontario, CPSO. What happened is Jagmeet Singh's father, Dr. Jagmeet Singh Dhaliwal, he had his license suspended in 2004 twice. This is because of his alcohol addiction, as Jagmeet has talked about it in the past in his book, where he was heavily addicted to alcohol to the point where he couldn't even get out of the couch without help. And he was practicing as a psychiatrist during this time. And so that is a little concerning, right?
He could.
But what
I didn't know
happens?
about that detail. He couldn't even get off the couch. This was an admission by Jagmeet
This,
himself.
yes. This it was very severe, and Jagmeet talks about how he was washing his father in shower, etc. It goes into great details, and it's a terrible story. Alcohol addiction is really bad, but we also have to look out for the patients of Ontario. I think they should have a right to know whether the physician, the psychiatrist they are visiting, is a competent one, is one who did not suffer um, license suspensions, disciplinary actions, etc. So basically, CPSO has a website. You go to CPSO website, you enter any name of any physician, and then it tells you all about them. Where did they graduate? If they had any past disciplinary action, if their license was suspended, if their competency was questioned, all of this information. And Dr. Jagtaran had 5 actions against him, 2 license suspensions, 2 restrictions. And in 2004, the first time his license was taken away, 5 months later, his license was given back. And then they took it away again because he failed to meet the restrictions put on his license as a condition for its reinstatement. And then 4 years later, in 2008, he got his license back with restrictions. And then 2013, the restrictions were lifted. And then same year, 2013, CPSO deleted all of the disciplinary actions that were taken, all of the license suspensions, all of that information was wiped out clean. And the reason why we know that these things happened, that his license was suspended, etc., we know that because the American database did not delete it. It's out there in American database. And Bob Ray, Mr. Ray, who brought this information to my attention, he himself a victim of a fake forensic pathologist, showed me that, look, on the American website, you have all these suspensions. But the Canadian website have scrubbed them off the internet. So I started investigating. I contacted CPSO. I contacted Dr. Jagmeet. I contacted Jagmeet Singh. And it appears that Dr. Jagmeet had all of this information expunged, meaning erased. And seems like CPSO basically allowed it to be deleted. They helped him erase his history. So now a patient searching his details, they will never know that his license was suspended twice, that he had all these troubles. As personally, to me, it is 20 years ago, 2004. I would still go visit him if I was a patient. But that's not the problem here. The problem here, that decision should be up to me as a patient to decide whether that information is currently relevant or not. Not to the CPSO, not to the regulators.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big problem, right? CPSO, do I trust CPSO to make such decisions? I don't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is it on screen here to just to kind of give context. On the left, you have the American regulatory body with Jagmeet Singh's father, and it listed as all of his kind of violations in 2004 and then 2008, 2013. And then on the CPSO side, the Canadian Ontario Regulatory Board, there's nothing. It got removed. And the question is like, who has the authority to do that? And you said when you emailed the CPSO, they said, nope, that's confidential. Can't tell you why we took that down. In your email, did you confirm, like,
exactly,
like, did you have a confirmation of that it was recorded on the CPSO side? Yes. Like, you know that.
Yes, it was reported to the CPSO side because the Americans are saying, yeah, we got this information from CPSO, from Canada, many years ago.
Yeah.
The discrepancy is because they must have deleted it. But right. We have it here in detail, and they got into some details on the phone where they explained that his competency was questioned and that it appears that he applied to expunge one of the rulings, but then somehow all of them got deleted as well. There is no transparency here. We don't know what happened because it all happened under the radar. There's no transparency. If you look at other physicians, other doctors, their records on CPSO, it gives you great detail if they haven't deleted it. It gives you great detail about what was the allegation, what did the board rule, what actions were taken, the minutes, the arguments, counter arguments, everything. But this is concerning. Why did Dr. Jagmeet had all of these records deleted? Why he wants it hidden? A reasonable person, I think, could decide whether or not that's relevant. It shouldn't be up to CPSO to say, yeah, this is relevant and oh no, this is not. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be the patient paying the price. He is allowed to write, he's allowed to give you drugs, he's allowed to write you prescriptions, and there are many reviews about him on the internet, and people are not very pleased.
And
with
just
his,
yeah. I was going to say, just to give more context to who the CPSO is, CPSO were the people who were punishing doctors who were speaking out during COVID-19. For example, this is a very brave younger doctor who I've interviewed, which is Patrick Phillips, Ontario College of Physicians, CPSO, rural family doctor. Suspends rural family doctor for inappropriate COVID-19 treatments advice. So these are the people. These are the arbiters of your license as a physician. Like these are the like. I know doctors in Ontario, and they have to constantly jump through hoops to make sure that their license stays intact. And it's honestly it's kind of a grueling bureaucratic thing. Doctors already have to work so hard, and there's obviously a huge demand. And then on top of that, they have to constantly like obey all these little things that the CPSO says. And isn't it interesting? And like, it is good to have this body there, but isn't it interesting that a direct relative of Jagmeet Singh gets all of his major violations? Poof, they're gone. It's like to me, this is the nepotism.
Yeah, and Jagmeet takes credit for it. He says I helped him. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, he says I helped him. I helped my father. But so I contacted him. I'm like, what kind of help did you provide? Because the year all of these records were deleted by CPSO is the same year that he was a sitting politician in Ontario. He was an elected representative in Ontario.
Interesting. Interesting. Now, I feel like I'm talking to a unicorn in Canada, because you investigated an investigative journalist, ladies and gentlemen. He's following the story. He's emailing people. He's asking the right questions. Have you seen anyone else report on this?
Not as of yet. I guess it takes time for people to consume it and then be like, let me take a look at this. But I don't, usually other media don't report on it. They don't follow up on it. And when they do follow up on it, and it's very rare, but when they do follow up on it, it's usually a trap to, like I had this experience with one of the media outlets I will not name. This happened twice. And basically they would follow up on my story. They would publish a story, and then they would get a legal threat. And then they would contact me and say, hey, we got a lawsuit in our hands, so we're deleting the story. We suggest you do the same. Like intermediaries like this. And so I have to be very careful. And, I don't care if other media follow up on it or not, but, everything I do is rock solid. I always reach out to the other side. I have no ill motives, and I don't take liberty with the facts, with the truth. And I have received many legal threats like this, even from government lawyers. But the thing is, I am well versed on the law, and I understand defamation law. I understand how Canadian law works. And so if you don't file it, I don't care. You have to go and file it, and then we will take care of it. But like this, it's sad to see governments, both municipal and provincial, utilizing government lawyers to intimidate journalists without any legal basis. That's the problem here. If somebody has any legal basis or has a real problem, they can contact, and I could make amends. But when you have no legal basis and you're just purely trying to intimidate, I'm not going to play that game with you. And unless you file it, I don't care. And they have not filed it, so.
And have you seen your stories ever kind of get picked up by more mainstream outlets? Like, have you ever seen your stories kind of get trickled up into like CBC or like maybe Rebel News reports on it after the fact?
I have not seen I have not seen mainstream media follow up on my stories. They follow up on the topic, but they don't follow up on the story. I feel like I feel like the media is just turning a blind eye, and that is fine. We don't need them, right? I get millions of views every month. Information reaches to whoever, needs to know, whoever seeks. they receive. And yeah, this is the new world. We don't need mainstream media. In the old days, a rich and powerful person had news about them and they didn't like it, they would just phone the editor and be like, hey, you need to uh, remove that thing, or I'm going to call my friends and they're no longer going to advertise with you. There were leashes like this connected to media organizations. The journalists, they think they are like democracy and they are like free speech and this and that. They are holding power to account. You're useless if you don't have editorial independence. You're useless, unfortunately. So if you're a journalist, the next step in your career is to become to obtain editorial independence, and
Yeah.
that is very expensive financially speaking. Uh,
It's the major root. I would say it's probably the number one root of the problem. Because you could talk about corruption, you can talk about foreign interference, but we have a media landscape. We have a major industry that's supposed to hold the people in power accountable, and they are subsidized by the government. Like, this is a characteristic of North Korea, of like Russia, of China, and like that just happened in 2018, and we've just kind of accepted it, and we're seeing the consequences of it, of course, where it's not even about, like, you're doing real investigative journalism and you're getting lawyers attacking you with all this sort of stuff, and like other sorts of things that have happened. I won't go into detail. I'll let you fill in those blanks. But in the system of the mainstream media, it's like, hey, don't report that or else we won't pay you any more government subsidies. It's like a lot. It's a kind of like an immediate sort of feedback loop
mhm.
for mainstream media journalists, where it's like, hey, the editor's like, don't write that because the boss, aka the millions of subsidies that we get from the government, don't want us to write that. So it's very convenient for those
Right.
in power, very inconvenient for the population, which is who the mainstream
Mhm.
media is supposed to serve. I know that we don't have that much time with you today. I want to get into, of course, spicy Khalistani stuff. But I do want to emphasize, guys, like, Mocha is an independent journalist here, okay? And he's out there, telling the stories, getting the flack, getting government lawyers threatening him. And I really encourage you, if you want him to keep doing this stuff, exposing Jagmeet Singh, talking about the World Sikh Organization, which is like really a great example of foreign interference, in my opinion, then please go and donate to this guy. It's mediabezirgan.com/donate. I'll put it in the chat. Because if there's any independent journalist that I want to absolutely crush it, it's this guy right here. But you can go donate to his website. I put the link in the chat.
Thank you,
Of
Greg.
course.
Much appreciated.
Did you want to introduce anything with the Khalistani movement? I know it's kind of like a long saga at this point, but maybe,
Sure.
like, what do you think is most
Right.
important for Canadians to understand about this Khalistani movement?
Well, from my background, I come from an Islamic background, and the Sikh religion is not very, but has similarities to Islam. For example, Muslims would call their martyrs shaheeds. A shaheed is someone who fights for Allah, for Islam, and dies. People who try to spread Islam across Europe, uh, waging war, they die, they're called shaheed. And some terrorists who die, they call them shaheeds. And
So,
same with Sikh religion,
so that's like
with the
martyr.
Khalistanis.
It's the same thing as a martyr. Okay.
Martyr, yeah, yeah. And they call their fighters shaheeds. But some, if not most, of these shaheeds are terrorists who blow up airplanes, uh, extort money, kidnap, kill, commit mass murder, commit conspiracy to kill, etc. So, in their mind, maybe they think this is okay, because they are waging a just war, but outside they look like extremists and terrorists. And here, this gentleman, Moninder Boyal from Nijar's temple, he was saying like, oh, today media is here, you know, they need to ask themselves, why are they doing what they're doing, trying to portray us as terrorists and extremists? Well, is it the media portraying you that way, or is it because you look that way when you are walking down the street with, place cards glorifying the assassination of India's former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, assassinated by her own Sikh bodyguards, as you can see right there, with a automatic rifle and a pistol, and you see the bullets, the
Yeah,
bloodshed.
no, let's
When you're
screenshot
walking
that.
like that,
That's
and
like they have the actual like bullets tacked on. Like the amount of effort and like arts and crafts that these guys put into
on the
this.
bullets, it says Khalistan in Punjab language.
These
I asked,
tiny
hey,
little
what does this
bullets here.
mean? And
These
they
tiny
explained to
little
me. Yes, there's Punjabi writings on it, which means Khalistan.
wow.
So they call these people who killed who assassinated the Indian Prime Minister, they call them Shaheeds because they say, oh, our Shaheeds have avenged the attack on our sacred, holy shrine in Punjab. So, they do this regularly, almost every month, you know, in front of the Indian consulate with swords and sometimes with spears.
It's I gotta say it's so I don't know what the word is, but I'll be scrolling through my Twitter feed. I'll see the sort of typical things that Pierre Poilievre is saying in the Liberal Party, and Mark Carney, and the carbon tax, and then I'll see a media Bezirgan post by you, and it'll be these guys in the streets. This is in Vancouver, by the way, for those who are not aware, and it's totally it's like why is no one else talking about this like literally only Maxime Bernier I think will tweet about this and talk about it. There might be other kind of conservative party influencers who kind of mention it, but it's quite alarming. And why do you think so many people turn a blind eye to it in Canadian politics?
Because this group is very politically influential. They fell under the umbrella of World Sikh Organization, who has many members of parliament, cabinet, um, ministers, etc., mayors across Canada. They are a very powerful, influential advocacy group for Sikhs. The World Sikh Organization, um, their executives, the sons of their executives, daughters, etc., they are all over the place in Canada running the country. And this is concerning because the World Sikh Organization is a highly questionable organization because its founder, Gyan Singh Sandhu, was interrogated by the RCMP with a polygraph after the 1985 Air India bombings. He was a suspect. And when you have someone like that as top, founder of the organization, and the organization has its members as ministers or their sons and daughters as ministers, it raises questions as to, hey, what's going on here? Why is Harjit Sajjan uh, in a position of public looking after public safety portfolio when he is a relative of Gyan Singh Sandhu, when he's connected to Gyan Singh Sandhu, so a lot of questions there. And then like they hire each other's sons, and you can see the graph, it's all there. And you see Jagmeet Singh, his brother was a former executive within this organization, and this organization was branded as terroristic even before the bombings. They had this image to themselves, and they had to hire PR experts to clean up that terrorist image. And they seem to have succeeded now. But basically, with any organization in today's world, if you're going to engage in advocacy and you're going to be influential in politics, etc., you outsource things like extremism and what Sikhs for Justice is doing on the streets. So basically, I think media is turning a blind eye to them because they are very powerful, influential, financially strong, and they hold many, what do you call it? Yeah, they have many puppets in across the Canadian political landscape and media. So
Yeah, and let's do.
when you're faced with a reality like that, right? But remember, there were three men. They're being investigated by the RCMP in St. Albert, Alberta, and politicians are condemning what they did, etc. And all they did was they hold signs saying deport them all. And maybe they made some Nazi salute. I'm not sure. Maybe that was different guys, but whatever they did, there's this whole everyone's talking about it, condemning it, RCMP investigating it, etc. But they're totally turning a blind eye to what the, you know, what the minorities are up to. So that's hypocritical and that's funny. You know, I've been assaulted. I've been receiving death threats. Um, this group has clashed with Edmonton police. One of them got arrested in New York. In New York, the American police don't mess around. They confiscated all of their flagpoles, wooden flagpoles. They confiscated all of them, and they forced them into a special area to protest. They would not let them protest where they're protesting. They confiscated some of the signs because, frankly, some of the signs, the propaganda they are putting out there is borderline, or actually, arguably, incitement to violence. And they yell stuff like "Kill India," politics. "Kill Modi," politics. I mean, imagine a Canadian doing that in Canada, like "Kill Trudeau,"
Politics.
politics. Right. So I did a funny video like this. I was saying "Kill Indian media," politics.
Right.
Because they were stealing my footage and stuff.
So this is the story you were just talking about a moment ago, which is St. Albert.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? They were holding White Lives Matter
Yes.
signs, and you can see a good image down here of the RCMP cruisers with them in the background, and they are investigating. They didn't burn any flags. They didn't have any swords. They didn't have any spears. They just had three words, White Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And apparently they
didn't beat anyone. They didn't intimidate any journalists. They didn't glorify any conspirators to blow up an airplane. They didn't have any members who were previously convicted of conspiring to blow up an airplane.
Yeah.
So
they're not part of the World Sikh
different...
Organization. They're not even part of the White People Organization. Is there a White People Organization in Canada? I don't know if we have one.
No. But listen, they don't have any institutional power. They don't have any, support system. So if they have if they go out and express their political views like this, of course they will get investigated. Media will attack them. There will be outrage. Politicians will condemn them and everything. But if you're well connected and well supported, like the Khalistanis, then it deters others from attacking. And I interviewed Jeremy Mackenzie a few months ago about this, and I said, hey, they're always talking about you, attacking you. Trudeau is even talking about your group, whatever. What is your KD compared to Khalistanis?
He means he means KD as in like kill death ratio. It's from like Call of Duty. If you play like deathmatch, you have a kill to death ratio. Like how many kills do you have? The point being, of course, that the Khalistani movement is connected to the World Sikh Organization, which was connected to the Air India bombing, which had how many kills? How many kills do they have there?
Many.
Minimum
331. Plus all the assassinated journalists.
Diagolon's got a goose egg, guys. They got a big goose egg.
So, if we allow the mainstream media and some personalities to determine what is outrageous and what is news, then we're blind, we're lost, we're being taken for a ride. We have to open our eyes and be like, hey, maybe this is not that much of a serious issue. Maybe I should be more worried about people who have who are holding cabinet positions in this government, who have serving a different agenda, who are close or related to people walking around with spears and swords, yelling "Kill India." I don't know.
Just a thought. Just a thought.
Yeah,
Uh,
just a thought.
we'll wrap it up here in a sec because I know you have to go. But let's go over that real quick. Let's go over that
Sure.
real quick. This is your World Sikh Organization sort of web. Um, Minister of Small Business. This is a Liberal MP, Bardish Chagger. Liberal MP, Sukh Dhaliwal. So
Wow.
were they former like former executives or former board members of the
They
World?
are connected.
Mm,
They further the same agendas in Parliament.
right,
And for example, Sukh Dhaliwal is calling for a reinvestigation of the Air India bombing, and that is what World Sikh Organization is advocating for. Because the Canadian investigation twice found that, yeah, it was Khalistani Sikhs who blew up the airplanes. So,
right.
but they want to pin that on India. They think they want to, deflect that blame from away from them. And here on this chart, you can see all the connections. You got Prem winning. Uh, he was an executive with World Sikh Organization. One of his son, Gurpreet winning, was hired by Amarjeet Sohi at the time, Minister of Infrastructure. And total luck. His other son was hired by Harjit Sajjan. And Harjit Sajjan's father was also an executive with this organization. And Harjit Sajjan's sister, Amarjeet Kaur, is married to the son of founder of World Sikh Organization, Gyan Singh Sandhu, who was interrogated by the RCMP with a polygraph.
Interesting.
So, this is a very close, friends and family club. So when you have an organization, powerful organization like this, is it possible for any Sikh in Canada to come to power without kissing the ring?
That's a great question, and just to be clear here, there's connections to there's a conservative MP here who gave a speech at a Calgary Dashmesh Culture Center connected to the World Sikh Organization. Daniel
Well, they
Smith.
hosted World Sikh Organization, and Daniel Smith, the Premier of Alberta, supports that organization very much so, where she attends fundraisers for that organization. And that organization also hosted Sikhs for Justice that brought their referendum to Calgary. And they had Santokh Singh Kella there, the former convicted terrorist by Canadian court, by the way, who was sentenced to life, who served 10 years and then got out because the conviction was overturned. He was conspiring to bomb an airplane departing from New York. And he was there receiving an award in Calgary, receiving an award from another charged individual, Ajaib Singh Bagri, who pledged to kill 50,000 Hindus at World Sikh Organization's founding convention in New York in 1984.
Yeah, just Tim Upal, another conservative MP. Of course, we have
Tim
Jagmeet
Upal is
Singh.
very interesting because his brother is basically a career criminal. He's been busted more than once, trafficking drugs for the purpose of selling. Plus, he had firearm offenses. What is he doing? Like, what is this? Okay, you got caught in 2008. Alberta prosecutors let you go. Let's say, okay, this was a mistake or there was no case against you. But then you get caught again in 2013. Again, similar charges, trafficking. They let you go again. Like, what is this? What am I supposed to, what conclusions should I draw from here? Another politician, Sikh politician, was bragging to an FBI agent, undercover FBI agent, saying, my father, we are very connected in British Columbia, the politics and everything. Anyone who messes with us, we'll put them under 6 feet down. My brothers are able to, clean up, blah, blah, talking very big, very serious like this. So if I was a drug trafficker, okay, and let's say you're a potential partner, would it boost my credibility to tell you that, hey, my brother is an MP, he's a cabinet minister? Don't worry about it. Everything will be smooth. We will have no issues. We will have no problems. So
Yeah.
should we elect people who have family members involved in drug trafficking? And why do Alberta prosecutors keep letting him go? Is it because there is no case? Like how can you twice get caught?
It's a great question. It's a great question, and again, it's like going into a whole nother world, a whole nother perspective on what's happening in Canada when we follow your content, Mocha, because however many months ago, 3-4 months ago, foreign interference report, guys, foreign interference is really bad, and here you
Right.
are with an actual chart of the World Sikh Organization connected to liberal MPs, conservative MPs, Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, mayors, multiple mayors.
Hmm.
Why aren't more Canadians talking about this? But do you think CSIS is following the World Sikh Organization? Do you think they're on top of this, like you, Mocha, or what?
Well, CSIS is compromised organization. You can't expect much from them. The RCMP is still investigating, though, the 1985 Air India bombing. They're still investigating after 40 years. The investigation hasn't closed. They're still trying to find the culprits, and they know who the culprits are. We know who the culprits are, and God willing, they will catch them before they die. And RCMP Disaster Task Force is highly reputable. It's not like other RCMP, what do you call, task force. It's a very specific one.
Mm-hmm.
But CSIS was actually deleting recordings. They were deleting evidence, and they were trying to compromise RCMP Disaster Task Force investigation. CSIS is very dirty. CSIS has a very bad history. You cannot trust them with anything. It's a very dirty institution. And it was established the same year. Within 1 year, it was established. The Air India bombings happened.
Mm-hmm. Do
Yeah.
you, do you think that with the leader Pierre Poilievre, if he gets elected, do you think he will be you know do you think he'll be exposing any of the World Sikh Organization uh, sort of influences in the
How would you
country, or?
expect him to expose anything? Look who he's standing next to, Tim Upal. His wife is an executive with World Sikh Organization.
Hmm. Interesting. I was trying to
The,
find a
the
better
thing is,
image.
World Sikh Organization is very powerful. They are very well connected. Anyone who's gonna come to power in Canada has to kiss the ring.
Mm.
And it's same with other ethnic, religious, or ideological organizations. There are pretty powerful ones like the the Islamic one. What is it called? Aga Khan.
Mm-hmm.
You have to kiss his ring too.
Right. Right.
Politicians have pictures with it. They're like, "Oh, Your Highness. Oh, happy
I
birthday, Your Highness. We celebrate this and that." It's so cringe, so disgusting,
Yeah, yeah. I
so
made a
disgusting.
I made a video about Ismaili Muslims, specifically calling out oh man, I forget his name, which is actually kind of a relief. Arif Irani.
Yes, Arif Iran.
And I was talking about how this guy might take away freedom of speech with Bill C-63, and I was outside the Aga Khan Museum. I made a video. I am still getting
Hmm.
emails of concerned Ismaili Muslims, like, how dare you say that? How dare you say that? Like, how dare you kind of like sow doubt or sort of like kind of be concerned about these
Good
powerful
for you.
MPs. And
Right.
because I made the accusation, these guys are kind of making Ismaili Muslims look bad by being corrupt bureaucrats. And, they escaped to
It's a
Canada
cult.
for freedom, and now they're kind of helping take away those freedoms. What's going on here? And, yeah, so it seems like there's a lot of gangs, a lot of different sort of gangs. Maybe gangs is too an aggressive
Right.
word, but
It's not.
you don't think it is?
I don't think so. No, it is appropriate. They are political gangs.
Mm.
They're special interest groups. This whole foreign interference thing, you know, they're like, oh, India is interfering, China is interfering. Well, what about why is what World Sikh Organization doing is not considered foreign interference? Why is Sikhs for Justice what they're doing is not considered foreign interference? Sikhs for Justice is based in the United States. Why are they coming and holding referendums out here in Calgary?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Why are we so concerned about Punjab and what happens there and Indian politics? What happens in India? In my coverage, now Khalistani's thing, I'm funded by India. But the truth is, I'm not gonna curse, but I don't give a damn about India and what happens there. I am not from there. I'm not connected to that country. I don't have a deep understanding of dynamics in that. I have some understanding, but not a deep understanding of that country. And I am not on any side here. I'm not pro-Hindu. I'm not pro-Sikh. I'm not pro anything. I'm just annoyed by the fact that these guys are walking around in the street with spears and swords, glorifying violence. And I try to do my best to simply show other Canadians that, hey, this is happening out here in Vancouver. Here's what they say. I have no hatred against them, and I play no favors. I am not funded by any special interest group. So, they think I am foreign interference. No, I am domestic interference. You are foreign interference.
yeah. Let's not get it twisted. You're simply in Canada, reporting on corruption, reporting on foreign interference or nefarious activity by powerful people. As an investigative journalist, I do have one last question for you, but before that, I want to let everybody know that I got the chance to interview Mocha for our upcoming documentary. Because as he was mentioning, the Khalistani movement is in the street. They are, they are displaying violence. They have very aggressive rhetoric. And this is a group that has never been reported on by the Canadian Anti-Hate Network. And this sort of like stopping hate rhetoric is it's what fueled Bill C-63. And as we saw with these men who were getting investigated by the RCMP, the stopping hate, investigated for hate, this stuff is not going away, guys. Even though Bill C-63 is gone, this stuff is by far not going away. The RCMP is using the exact same rhetoric as antihate.ca. And I'm very excited to share the story of why this is really important to Canadians, because it looks like even though this bill has been thrown out, they're going to try to either enforce existing hate speech laws or, even enforce it municipally, because there is sort of like little programs happening at a local level. Anyway, had the chance to interview Mocha. And if you want to support that documentary, it's at givesengo.com/savefreespeech. There should be a really good preview coming out shortly. But on the other hand, as I said earlier, if you want to support his amazing work, then please go to your website. I'll get the link again. But because, Mocha, you are going up against these political gangs, something that the mainstream media won't touch, something that obviously none of the political parties will touch because their hands are dirty, basically. Like if you can picture all the different like political parties with the hands in the World Sikh Organization jar, they're all in there. Whatever that means. No one's talking about this. So you are really taking on a huge risk in doing that. And why? Where do you get the balls to? Because I'm sure. I'm sure it doesn't like help you make any friends when you kind of you don't really gain any friends in high places when you kind of like kick this hornet's nets of like, all these people are connected to Air India bombing. Interesting. Where do you get the bravery to do this, man?
Well, I'm ready to go anytime. I am not afraid of dying. It's just my philosophy, and I have lived a politically privileged life back in Turkey, which helped me avoid, trouble with the law, because I was making some very funny videos that some prosecutors, they thought it was insulting the president. In Turkey, it is not allowed to insult the president, and even if it's not an insult, it's just a criticism, they can still take you away. But I understand power dynamics, and my power comes from my editorial independence. If I surrender that, then I am powerless. So if anyone has any issues, with my coverage, they come to me. They have nobody else to call to and say, stop Mocha. Tell him to stop. Tell that kid to stop. They have no one to call to. They have to come and face me. And I'm content with that. And I'm proud of that. And I'm ready to die for it. Okay, so if anyone has any problem, they come and see me. They send the threats to me. They come and sue me. It's no problem. I will handle them. I am the boss. If I was working for another outlet, I am not the boss, and I'm useless. Because I don't have editorial independence. I'm not the one calling the shots. I'm not the one who these people have to face and reckon with. So when you live life like this, where you're a force to be reckoned with, you will die for it because it's so meaningful and fulfilling. And again, I don't care about India. I care about Canada, and I care about Canadians, and I care about my friends. My friends whose, for example, Bob Ray, his cousin was clearly assassinated. Who would commit suicide by
blowing up their car,
setting themselves on fire in a car? Exactly. In the middle of the night, 3 a.m. The family didn't believe that. And the investigation only lasted 24 hours. And the fake forensic pathologist ruled that death a suicide, which basically put a roadblock to RCMP further investigating. And Bob had to work very hard exposing Dr. Adiegbo, fake Dr. Adiegbo, whose medical diploma has never been primary source verified. The US tried to verify that, and they said, we have not been able to, the school is not giving us anything. So basically he showed up to US and hey, I got this diploma, and they're like, okay. They never checked if it's true, and when they tried to check, they didn't get any response. He failed the test 6 times. The 99% of the people who applied this final medical test for foreign medical graduates, they pass. This guy didn't pass 6 times, and that's the maximum allowable. You're not allowed to go for a 7th time if you fail, but somehow he was allowed to take it for a 7th time, and he passed. And this guy, look at him. He conducted 5,000 autopsies in Alberta. He compromised police investigations. His testimony, as a result of his testimony in court, people got locked up for life, including a mentally challenged minor in US who got hard 50 year in jail because. So this is the guy, the organized crime, Bob believes, utilized to compromise RCMP's investigation into the assassination of his cousin.
It's crazy.
We have so many fake doctors. Look, Dr. Bakshi, you were just showing the video. Bob also worked on him and said, look, he graduated from CTEC, foreign medical school in Dominican Republic. That was only operational for 4 years, and that was shut down for selling thousands of fake medical diplomas.
Yeah. That's like,
and now we have Dr. Jack Duran.
It doesn't get any more corrupt than that, Mocha. And
so that's what I care. That's what I care. You know, if you're gonna hurt people like Bob, if you're gonna cover up assassinations, if you're gonna be in cahoots with organized crime, with drug traffickers, with assassins, I have a problem with that, and you have to come and face me.
Yeah, you know? and
so you can call that domestic, foreign, whatever interference. Sorry to cut you off. I'm going off a little bit here.
No, I love it, man. I love it. You're willing to die for this. Like you just gave a very passionate speech a second ago about something that I feel is so fundamental to sort of, you know, the founding ideas of like a free democracy. And I know that like democracy is this word that gets thrown around a lot, but in a true kind of like free society, we have journalists, investigative journalists that pursue the truth, that pursue justice at all costs, Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think of the horror stories or the spooky sort of stories from the past, almost like ghost stories of like, and there were these corrupt regimes and people would disappear in the middle of the night and people's cars would burst into flames and they committed suicide. This is happening in Canada already. And because our mainstream media outlets are compromised, You know, it's up to people like Mocha. It's up to people who are editorially independent, aren't on the take from a conservative party or a party that's connected to the World Sikh Organization, which is apparently all of them. You know, but it takes this type of bravery of like, I am willing to die to tell the truth, to make sure the truth gets out there, and it's very, very inspiring. And once again, guys, if you want to support Mocha, who is really, man, like balls to the wall,
Thank
I'm
you.
going to tell the truth. You can go to mediabezirgan.com/donate. You can check out, of course, his Twitter, which is there in the corner, at Bezirgan Mocha. In the description is his YouTube channel, and of course the video that he just posted today about Jagmeet Singh's father. Is there anything else you wanted to share with us before we go?
Well, thank you very much, Greg. I appreciate the work you do, and thank you for having me, giving me the opportunity to speak my mind a little bit. It's not easy behind the scenes, you know. Most people only see what's in front of the scene, but 99% of stuff happen behind the scenes. And behind the scenes, it's not easy. It's stressful, and you know, but we're up for the challenge. And you know, if I feel like if I fail, it's gonna set a negative precedent to others to not try, not to be like me, not go independent, you know, not struggle. Uh, so I have to, you know, I do everything I can to succeed or give the appearance of success, so that you know, others or the young ones who are coming up, they are not discouraged or disappointed. Um, so I am aware of the responsibility I have, and I try my best. But you know, you too, you try your best to, you know, you are outspoken, you don't shy away from sharing your opinions, and that is very valuable, because if we don't talk our mind, we don't speak our minds, then we're in a very closed environment where information is not flowing, views are not flowing, opinions are not flowing.
Yeah, and you
So
came
it's
from
yeah,
you've lived, sorry to cut you off, but you've lived in Turkey, where the law there is if you say something that might insult like the sensibilities of the religion in Turkey, then that's illegal.
right.
So like Mocha, you've
Yeah,
lived in a country where it's like there's a very easy law that can just be weaponized against any citizen who even insults somebody the wrong way. So you know what's at stake, essentially.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how they roll in Turkey. And you know, you don't want to be in that situation where they put handcuffs on your hands and they take you into a police station, because first of all, uh, the judges are incompetent and compromised. The lawyers are incompetent and compromised. The police officers are incompetent and compromised. So even if you have the law on your side, if the judge doesn't know the law, if the lawyer doesn't know the law, if the police officer don't know the law, then you're going to get beaten and you're going to get tortured, and it's not going to be well for you. But if you are politically well connected, you're going to be fine, man. You could, you know, in Turkey, you have sons of members of parliament driving the cars that the taxpayers pay for their fathers to drive, luxury state-given cars.
Mm.
And they drive these special cars and they do cocaine inside that car. The videos, you know. And you know, these kids, if police stops them, they will tell the police officer, here's the map, choose a place, where would you like to continue your work? Would you like to, you know, basically we'll send you away to a village, you know, if you mess with us. You know who my father is, huh? Like this is how that country works. That's how many countries work. In Canada, it's also how it works, but it is not out in the open. You have to be smart about it. You have to be subtle about it. It's like communicating without talking. You cannot leave traces when you're doing corruption. You
Mm.
know, in Canada, they facilitate many, for example, infrastructure corruption. They will have so-called independent third party coming and doing analysis and saying, hey, if we do the project this way, if we procure the project this way privately, oh, it will save the taxpayer $2 billion. But then the project ends up $5 billion overpriced. like the Gordie Howe International Bridge Project.
Right.
So, and then you have reports like saying, oh, we need to build this infrastructure because there's going to be a lot of traffic and a lot of trade. We need this. But then you have basic data that's showing the traffic has been going down for decades. And then you have experts saying, hey, you guys, this is not even going to cost, for example, Gordie Howe International Bridge Project, this is not even going to cost $7 billion, but this is going to cost us at least $61 billion because of the interest rate, because of the interest we're going to have to pay.
Right. That's another great story.
Infrastructure minister at the time.
Yeah.
Right. Amarjit Soy was the infrastructure project at the time, infrastructure minister at the time. Like, how can you not say, guys, this is messed up? If you're not the person to, stand up and say, hey, what the hell are we doing? Who is supposed to say it then? Who are you serving?
Yeah. And just to compare that to like a story that more people have heard of, because the conservatives talk about it and they bat it around like a political football. Climate Barbie there, can't even think of her actual name right now. Come on.
I know who you're talking about.
She resigned. She resigned. Oh, man. Anyway, I think you know who I'm talking about. Climate Barbie. She misplaced what was it? Thousands of infrastructure projects, and like millions or possibly billions of dollars went missing.
What was her name? What was her name?
First name Climate, last name Barbie. It's okay. It's kind of refreshing.
Catherine McKenna. Catherine McKenna.
There we go. But a lot of people heard of like, hey, where'd all that money go? But this is an example of you actually following a project and being like, hey, this is not being managed properly. And let me tell you, I live in Toronto. And I got some things to say about Metrolinx, aka the organization that's trying to build. It's this decade-long project of trying to build a subway. And I'm not going to name names or whatever, but I've heard rumors that it is as bad as you could imagine, as in the this is a crown corporation.
The more delay there is, the more money they make.
Yeah, which is really disgusting, and you could argue is treasonous. You are literally hurting the Canadian people. You are taking their hard-earned taxpayer money to fill your pockets. It's absolutely disgusting.
And they destroyed that neighborhood. They destroyed the businesses there because it's been always under construction. The black people there.
Absolutely.
It's a
Eglinton, Egg West, Eglinton. No, it's
yes.
Yeah. Eglinton
horrible.
has been like I've lived here in Toronto for over 10 years, and ever since I've been here, Eglinton has been like a third world country. It's always been in construction. There's like holes in the ground. There's like one way of traffic each way. Maybe, of course, the businesses can't thrive there because you can hardly even access them. It's ever since I've been in Toronto, it's been like that, and this is like a major vein of the city. Anyway. But getting off on a tangent there, but the point is like you're kind of investigating one example of an infrastructure project, which is certainly suspicious, rife with corruption potentially, and should be a huge concern for more Canadians. But hey, I would love to do this more often. Okay, I would love to have you on the channel more often. Give us the update on your recent story, and kind of like dig a bit into it, because people like you and me, we got to stick together. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and of course I'll come on more often as I have more stories to share. Thank you for amplifying my stories.
Hey, absolutely, Mocha. It is my pleasure. Make sure you follow Mocha on X. You can subscribe to him on YouTube. The link is in the description. Are you on Facebook or no? No?
I don't really use Facebook.
Okay. But you're on X.
Just YouTube and Twitter.
Yeah, YouTube and Twitter. Follow his stuff. Make sure you can go donate to him as well. There'll be clips of him also probably in the preview for the documentary that I'm working on. But we're just gonna as we close off here, we are going to play a bit of your report on Jagmeet Singh's father. And if you want to watch the rest of it, the link is in the description below. Thanks again for coming on, Mocha.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Certainly. Jagmeet Singh, he mentions that his father was a veteran alcoholic that practiced as a psychiatrist in Ontario. And I delved into researching and looking into the background of Dr. Jagmeet Singh
Is the
Dhaliwal
audio on
and
for the
found
video?
very troubling inconsistencies in his medical records and the information that is being disclosed to the public.
Let's take a look at Bob's findings regarding Dr. Jagmeet Singh Dhaliwal. On the left side, we have Dr. Dhaliwal's profile on DocInfo, powered by the Federation of State Medical Boards in the United States. According to their database, there were 5 medical board actions against him in Ontario, including multiple license suspensions. The FSMB cites the